So today we'll be starting the 10th Sutra, explanation of the 10th Sutra. The 10th Sutra of the Samadhi Pada is Te Pratiprasava Heyaha Sukshmaha. So if you think about the last few sutras, they were all talking about different kleshas, right? This sadhana pada started with Kriya Yogaha and then went on to ponder upon the kleshas. What are the 5 kleshas and the explanation of each of those kleshas. Now, the 10th sutra is the sutra which gives the goal of what has to be done. What has to be done with regards to kleshas, because kleshas, as we all understood, are afflictions. Now, what has to be done with these afflictions is, or kleshas have to be eradicated. So the goal is eradication of kleshas. Okay, so this sutra talks about that. Te pratiprasava. Te means they. They is what they are referring to, the previously discussed aspect, which was klesha. So kleshas have to be reduced or eradicated. Pratiprasava is nothing but de-evolution. We saw how the Sankhya theory helped us in understanding the evolutes of Prakriti. Starting from Prakriti, the first evolute was Buddhi, then it went on to Ahankara, then it went on to the 10 Karmendriyas and Jnanendriyas along with Manas, and then Tanmatras, which led to the gross aspects, which are the Pancha Mahabhutas. So we saw that each one was leading to the creation of another one, right? That process was called as evolution. Now, Pratiprasava is a term that is opposite to evolution. It's a term that is opposite to evolution. It is also called involution or de-evolution. Okay, involution or de-evolution. So this process of involution is nothing but we are trying to go back to the original state. From the gross aspects, we are trying to go back to Tanmatras, which are subtle, and then go to Ahankara, then go to Buddhi, and then from Buddhi even reach Prakriti and get separated. So going back, that process of going back is called as de-evolution or involution. So it is referring to the kleshas here especially. Because of the kleshas, we are getting into all kinds of trouble. So we should understand that when we are getting entangled with the evolutes of Prakriti, it is creating all kinds of afflictions. So what is the method? The process is to go back, get rid of these kleshas by going through the process of involution or de-evolution. Okay, heyaha. The word heyaha refers to that which is to be avoided. Heya is something which causes pain. The cause of pain is called heyaha. Okay, that which is to be avoided, eradicated, or eliminated, that is called heyaha. Sukshmaha is subtle. The word sukshmaha means subtle. So here sukshma is referred to with regards to kleshas. So kleshas are shown here as the subtle aspects. They were grosser. Okay, I'll explain you in the next sutra. So there is a little bit of controversy about sutra number 10 and 11 in different commentaries. Actually, some commentaries say that sutra number 11 must have come before sutra number 10. And some say, okay, it made sense to give the goal first and then the method to practice the next. Because we have seen in some other places also where the goal was given, the purpose was given in the beginning, and then the process of reaching that goal was explained later. Patanjali sage might have used the same approach here also. He is saying that the kleshas have to be reduced or eradicated. Okay, here he's referring to the subtle aspect of the kleshas. Okay, kleshas which have to be eradicated at present are in their subtler form. Okay, so let's see what this sutra says in detail. Now, as I stated, the goal of the sutra is to eradicate the kleshas. The kleshas pratiprasava, with the process of involution, have to go back to their original state. Okay, which is also I mentioned is called as dissolution or de-evolution. So based on the Sankhya theory of causation, the evolutes are supposed to be dissolved completely in their respective causes. So the 5 gross elements, which are Panchamahabhutas, have to be completely dissolved with the kind of yogic practices that we do. They have to be dissolved in the tanmatras. The tanmatras then go back into the ahankara. Then the ahankara, the karmendriyas and the jnanendriyas also similarly have to go back. So we saw there are 16 visheshas, 6 avisheshas, then lingamatra, alinga. So these 16 visheshas have to be dissolved into the 6 avisheshas. The 6 avisheshas have to be dissolved in the lingamatra. Okay, and the lingamatra has to be dissolved in the alinga. Getting it? So that is what has to happen. That is nothing but the process of pratiprasava. Now, how is all this journey happening is through the different practices that are prescribed in yoga. Like it could be yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, different kinds of dharanas and dhyanas that were explained, different techniques of pranayama, which would be explained in this pada. So all these aspects are provided just to work out the way to involute, going back from the grosser to the subtler to the cause. Okay, the evolutes are all completely dissolved in their respective causes. By what? By the process of yoga. Okay, so this de-evolution or dissolution happens in the reverse order. Just think the kleshas and whatever accompany as a tree which is upside down. Kleshas are on the top. Okay, you can see the prakriti also is on top of the kleshas, where you go down to the bottommost part, which is the top of the tree, which are the fruits and leaves and all those aspects. Those are nothing but the gross aspects, the 16 gross aspects. Then you go to the branches, they are the subtler aspects. Okay, then you come to the lingamatra, which is the buddhi. You might think as the main root. Okay, and then beyond that is the prakriti. So it is like the upside down tree when you try to understand it. So here we are trying to first chop off the leaves, and then the branches, then the stem, then the roots and the tree itself. Okay, so that is how it has to be worked out. Now here the pratiprasava refers to the mind. Okay, pratiprasava of what? Pratiprasava refers to the mind along with its vasanas being dissolved in its cause. So mind has to be dissolved in its cause means what? Mind has to be dissolved in prakriti. Cause is what? Prakriti only, right? So mind field has to be dissolved in prakriti means we are attaining the state of samprajnata samadhi, which is which samprajnata samadhi? Can you think which samprajnata samadhi?
Asamprajnata samadhi.
No.
Ma'am, once.
Here I'm saying that the evolutes must be dissolved in their respective causes by the process of yoga, and this de-evolution would happen in the reverse order, right? Here the pratiprasava, as I told, refers to the mind along with the vasanas. So all of them have to be dissolved in its cause. What is the cause? The union of Prakriti and Purusha. Okay, when they both are separated, that is when the dissolution happens. And what is the cause is the union. But when you look at the aspect of the samadhi, it is the highest point of samprajnata samadhi, which is asmita, samprajnata samadhi. After which there are not even the samadhi samskaras, there is only nirodha samskaras. That is when the person will be able to go into asamprajnata samadhi, where he leaves off the viveka khyati also. He is not bothered about the knowledge that he has accrued also. Okay, so that is what it is trying to say. So this dissolution has to be total and permanent. Why? Why do you think the dissolution has to be total and permanent? What happens if we don't dissolve it completely?
It will again come back and cause.
It will start stemming again, ma'am.
Just think of the green gram. Okay, think of the green gram. Okay, when it is dried and nice, it is almost like a burnt seed, right? It doesn't do anything. Once you give it a ground, you soak it and you wrap it in a cloth, what happens? You give it a comfortable weather. What happens? It will sprout, right? These are also exactly like that. If we don't do the dissolution until its cause means until prakriti and beyond that, like going into asamprajnata samadhi all the way. If we don't do it, somewhere midway, if we leave it, they will all come back. They will show their ugly faces again. So it is very important that this dissolution that one is working upon through the process of yoga has to be done totally and permanently. So what does this total and permanent imply is all the kleshas must be rendered incapable of being produced again. You getting it? All these kleshas must be rendered incapable of being produced again. If they are not left that way, they have a potency to manifest in some form again. Okay, they can creep in at any stage. That is why you see from the samadhi samskaras, people fall down into vyuthana samskaras. And that state goes off, that ekagra avastha goes off, people get into vikshipta avastha, and then kshipta muda, all that comes. Why? Because they have not worked upon the total and permanent dissolution of the kleshas. Getting it? So this is an important aspect. Te pratiprasava heyaha sukshmaha. So that which has to be done completely, only then the kleshas can't continue to exist. So you have to burn the seed to an extent where it cannot sprout again. So as I told you an example of the green gram, same is the case with the COVID also. You take the example of COVID. Okay. So once the virus has taken a shape and it has come into existence and it has entered into our lives, so we have worked upon it at the first level. We said maintain social distancing, then lockdown, then all that. Then we came up with a vaccine. Then again, after a few months, we see that there is another variant. Right? So we are seeing this. Why? That particular virus is existing in some form. It is not completely eradicated. Now, again, whether it's a man-made virus or a naturally occurring virus is a very different subject, which is again a very debatable subject. I'm not bothered about that. Here, I'm trying to just relate it with this example of klesha. Just imagine klesha to be like the COVID virus. Okay. So we have eradicated one variant of the virus. But is that enough to really handle it? No. It is coming as another variant. And after some time, we are also working on that variant. Another variant is coming out. So this is continuing, right? Until the root cause is eliminated, this will keep happening. That is how they're trying to explain. So we have to go all the way to the cause. So what is the cause? The union of Prakriti and Purusha. When these two are separated, that is when this process will stop. Okay, is that clear?
Ma'am?
Yeah.
So you were asking us, Prati Prasava is where the mind is dissolved, thereby helping us to attain Sampragnata Samadhi. Which Sampragnata Samadhi was your question, ma'am?
Yeah, that is Sa Asmita Sampragnata Samadhi.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, that is Sa Asmita Sampragnata Samadhi, because you have attained your Samadhi state until Prakriti, but you have still not separated yourself. I mean, the Purusha and the Prakriti are not completely separate. That is when you enter into the Asampragnata Samadhi, when these two are separated. That happens only when another Samadhi, which is called as Dharmamegha Samadhi, that will come in the 4th chapter. Okay, when Dharmamegha Samadhi comes, after the Dharmamegha Samadhi, then the person goes into the Nirodha Samskaras, and those Nirodha Samskaras will lead to Asampragnata Samadhi. That is the journey of involution or de-evolution or dissolution. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you might have this question in your mind, right? So with discriminatory wisdom, like I now understand that Prakriti and Purusha are the union of Prakriti and Purusha is creating all these things, is creating the evolutes. The evolutes are bound to have kleshas, which are like the viruses. Okay, and we are becoming gullible to them, right? The mind is becoming a slave to them. Now, with discriminatory knowledge or wisdom, can't one attain moksha? Why do we need to actually go into the dissolution of the mind field itself into its origin? When we understand that these two are not the same, is that not enough, is my question. Why should we go into the dissolution of the mind field itself? Are you understanding my question? If you think a little bit, you'll be able to answer this.
Ma'am, understand, getting that knowledge and using it practically is different. We know it, but we can't use it practically in our life. I think that is the reason.
Exactly. Abhyasa and Vairagya are very important. You're getting it. So just getting the knowledge, the discriminatory wisdom is not enough. That particular knowledge has to be put into practice. So when we practice it, we know that the field in which these seeds sprout, that field also has to be completely burnt. If we leave the field, which is the mind, if we leave the mind lying like that, then definitely at some point in time, sooner or later, it becomes a fertile ground for the seeds called kleshas to sprout. That is why never leave the samadhi practices midway, because definitely they will fall down. They have attained a certain state, and from there they fall down if they leave it there. The practices should continue until they have reached the final dissolution. Okay, where the Purusha and Prakriti are separated. Okay, clear? And there is no possibility, when these two are separated, is there a possibility for kleshas, fresh kleshas to come back? There's no possibility. So one has to render it in that way. Clear? So those kleshas are reducible by involution when they are subtle. So here they didn't give anything, but how they have to be made subtle and how we have to handle it is given in the goal was stated in the 10th sutra. Now, what has to be done? What is the method that they are using for making them subtle and finally to be able to eradicate or eliminate them from the mind field? So that is given in the next sutra. They're saying that the method to eliminate or eradicate the kleshas, which was given in the previous sutra, that which gives rise to vrittis, is through meditation. Okay, so meditation is the method which they're suggesting. Dhyana heyaha tad vrittayaha. Dhyana heyaha means what? By meditation, heyaha. Heyaha is, we have seen in the previous sutra also, that which has to be avoided, eliminated, eradicated, or prevented, that which causes pain. Okay, tada vrittayaha, and their modifications. Tat is nothing but born out of these kleshas. Born out of what? Those that cause pain. Born out of these kleshas are the vrittis. Okay, vrittayaha, tad vrittayaha. So, dhyana, by meditation, heyaha, that which are to be avoided, eliminated, reduced, eradicated, prevented, any of the words you can use. Heyaha is the cause of pain, is the cause of pain that has to be avoided. Right? That is what we have to look for. We should always look for eradicating the cause of pain. Tad vrittayaha. So, born out of these kleshas, okay, born out of these kleshas are the vrittis, their modifications. They're giving another form. Klesha doesn't stay that way. Klesha leads to something else. Klesha leads to vrittis. We'll see. We'll see in this sutra what it means. So, as the sutra said, born out of the kleshas are the vrittis, and we should, by the practice of meditation, avoid the possibility of these kleshas. Okay, so the kleshas give rise to vrittis. Kleshas give rise to vrittis. These vrittis are supposed to be reduced, weakened, eradicated through meditation practice. I repeat it once again. So the sutra talks about the method to eliminate the kleshas which give rise to the vrittis. So you remember, kleshas are giving rise to vrittis. So we need to get rid of these kleshas by the practice of meditation. Okay. So kleshas give rise to vrittis, and these vrittis are supposed to be reduced, eradicated through the process of meditation. What does meditation actually do? Meditation will create a mind field which is able to discern between what is a klesha and what is not a klesha. So when it is a klesha, because of the calmness that is created in the mind field, there is a kind of discriminatory wisdom which is arising, and the person is able to discern. Okay, so through meditation practices, these kleshas can be handled head on. I mean, you are directly meditating on what is happening with the mind field, and you are going into the aspect which the mind is currently lingering upon. If it is a klesha, you tell yourself, you observe that. And then out of that observation comes the discriminatory wisdom, and that wisdom that you gain through meditation will help the klesha to weaken. Okay, it becomes sukshma. Why? Because you started working on that klesha through the practice of meditation, dhyana. Okay, so by observing these kleshas and meditating upon the mind field, one can make the kleshas subtle. Subtle means what? Weak. So they are making it thinner, attenuated, and then they are making it even more incapable of giving rise to any other forms like vrittis or any other forms, right? So we are even burning the seed. Like if we leave the seed, you see, if the seed coat on any seed is left, like the husk is left, for example, paddy, you leave the paddy with the husk will actually help the paddy to again sprout. right? And that sprout can be actually sown in the field and it becomes a paddy field, right? So when the husk is removed, the seed cannot sprout. It is almost like a burnt seed. So through the process of meditation, what happens is the husk is removed and the seed is left burnt. I'm just giving an analogy so that you can visualize that. Okay, so that seed cannot sprout. It cannot render itself to go into another state which creates another plant. It is made incapable of giving rise to a plant. Okay, that is what meditation does in the sense of kleshas. When one meditates, they'll be able to weaken the effect of kleshas, and slowly when their meditation becomes stronger and stronger, they will be able to burn those kleshas. Okay, is this clear? Now these kleshas give rise to different kinds of vrittis, which might be kind of gross vrittis and subtler vrittis. Now with gross vrittis, what is given in one of the commentary that I've read is the kleshas give rise to vrittis. That is what the sutra is saying, right? Dhyana heyas tada vrittaya. So the kleshas are giving rise to vrittis, which are fluctuations or modifications of the mind field. So the sutra, which the commentary which spoke about the sutra mentioned that the vrittis are of two kinds, gross and also subtle. So they said the gross aspects of the vrittis can be handled with Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga was given in the very first sutra, right? Tapah Swadhyaya Ishwara Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. So the gross aspects can be worked out through the Kriya Yoga practice. And the subtler vrittis can be handled with the practice of meditation. Getting it? So that is how they have given about how to work out these vrittis. If the vrittis are very gross, then you should use Kriya Yoga for working out those vrittis. Then if they are subtle vrittis, probably meditation practices will be more suggested. Okay, if you put it in a context of real life application. Clear? So to put it in a very simple way, like the gross vrittis, you can think a garment to be full of dust, like it is soiled to an extent where even if you pick the cloth and you try to shake it, there's dirt coming out of the cloth. Okay, so Kriya Yoga is something like the shaking off of the dirt from the garment. When you just shake the garment vigorously, the dirt from the garment is eliminated. So that's called the gross form, gross vritti. And when you think of the subtler klesha, subtler vritti, the meditation aspect works. So the meditation is like you are trying to prevent the in the case of the garment itself, you're trying to soak it in water and trying to remove all the dirt from the garment. Okay, so the aspect of removing the gross vrittis and the subtler vrittis is given with that particular example, where the dirt that you see over the garment, like visual dirt which you can shake off, is through Kriya Yoga. That example relates to Kriya Yoga. And the subtler one is like you are trying to remove the subtler aspects of the dirt through washing it thoroughly. Okay, so and finally you come to a stage that washing thoroughly also comes to a stage. If you just go further and deeper into this aspect, you see that even the garment, if they leave the garment will have a tendency to catch dirt, right? To become dirty, isn't it? The garment, if you leave it, it will definitely get into a mode where it becomes dirty again. So they are saying the complete dissolution is the dissolution of the garment itself. Okay. Because we cannot visualize that we are living in such a material world, this example might not just strike you immediately, but that is the ultimate stage where we are also getting rid of the garment. Okay, not shaking away the dirt from it, not trying to remove the dirt that is caught in between those the weaves. So we are trying to remove the garment itself. We are trying to dissolve the garment itself so that there's no scope of dirt. Getting it? So this happens only when there's an unhindered flow of discriminatory wisdom like Viveka Khyati flowing continuously. When does this happen? When we are in the states of Samadhi. Samadhi comes only through different practices that we do, the yogic practices that we do, like meditation and other practices. Okay? This is clear?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. In
That
fact, this example garments is now fixed in the mind, so we can compare it. That was really nice. Thank you so much.
Okay. So going to the next sutra. You can read up the exposition in this book. It's also not bad. I just read through the exposition in this book also. It's kind of okay. You might understand now because I gave you a fair idea of what it is. You might be able to relate. You can just read it up. Now the next sutra is about, please keep a track of the time because I'm not looking at the time. If it is almost time, you should remind me. Okay. Yeah. So the 12th sutra is about the place where all these kleshas are getting stored. What are these kleshas doing and how are they accumulating themselves? In what form? And where is the storehouse of all these aspects? Okay. Because it is not happening for 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 lifetime. It is happening over millennia, over many lifetimes. These things are getting accumulated. Now, where are they getting stored and what is happening to all these things? That mystery is revealed in the next sutra. So it's about the karmashaya. So we keep doing all kinds of deeds, right? Good, bad, and all that. So when you believe in the concept of birth and death cycle, the process of reincarnation and all that, there is definitely a very strong point for taking birth, a reason for taking birth, right? Not one, it could be an accumulation of several very strong reasons. Those reasons are called as prarabdha karma. Okay, so that which have become very strong and would like to take a manifested form, that is called as prarabdha karma. We are born with that because of that. Okay, so this sutra talks about a little bit of that karmashaya and what is happening with the birth and death cycle. We'll look at it now. Klesha moolah karmashayo drushta adrushta janma vedaniyaha. So klesha, you know the word klesha. Klesha is nothing but an affliction that we have seen, that which only causes pain. There's nothing more to it. We saw that it is in 5 different forms: avidya, smita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha, only causing pain. Okay, moolaha. Moolaha means what? Mool means, in Hindi, you know what is mool, right? Mool is root. Okay, mool is the base. What is the base of the kleshas? Karmas. Okay, what are those karmas? Karmas are nothing but the actions that we do. Okay, so ashayo, we don't do just one action, right? Over the lifetimes, we might have done several actions. And all those actions, the consequences of those actions get accrued in karmashaya. That's like a storehouse. Okay, every person will have a balance sheet. Okay, that balance sheet is nothing but balance sheet of the karmas. That is called karmashaya. It's the storehouse of all that we have done. Okay, So that storehouse, when it stores all the consequences of the actions that we have done, so that becomes seen or unseen. Like drashta is that we are able to experience in this birth. Drashta, that part which is seen. Adrishta is that which is not seen, may appear in future. Okay, that which we see in this very birth, that which we might not see in this birth and might come up in future. Janma is birth. Vedaniyaha is that which is yet to be experienced. So adrishta, it is referring to the adrishta. So that which is yet to be experienced, we have not seen it, that which is supposed to be experienced in a future birth. So to just put the whole sutra together, so what are kleshas doing? Kleshas are nothing but pushing the person into some action, right? That actions are all accrued in one storehouse called karmashaya. So when the consequences of those karmas have to be experienced, that is when we see them. We see the consequences of some of those karmas in the present birth, and some other karmas are seen, the consequences of some other karmas are seen in the future births, which are yet to be experienced. So you're seeing how karma plays a very, evil role. It creates a jail. It creates a jail where it is throwing the living being into that jail. Okay, it completely catches the living being and binds that creature in that jail or cage. Okay, unless we understand that we are getting into the what do we say, the clutches of these kleshas, we will not be able to help ourselves. We will just go down the spiral and we will keep repenting our own self, our own actions. We'll keep lamenting about so many things in life. So the problem is these kleshas lead to karmas, and the karmas lead to karmashaya. Karmashaya will give us what we are experiencing now or what we might experience in the future births. That is what it is said. So why is he giving this here is because you see the link from kleshas to karmas to karmashaya, then that which we are experiencing now and which we would experience in future. So you better be aware of the root cause. It is a culprit. It is creating a captivity where it is not letting the person live a life which is of, I can say that discerning wisdom, or a life which is of freedom, which is happiness, which is bliss. Right? It is not letting us do that. So working on these kleshas becomes the primary responsibility of a person who is in the practice of yoga. Is that clear? So these kleshas also are the main cause, the original cause of birth, the lifespan, and the experiences that we have in our lifetimes. Okay, that we'll see in the next sutra. Until this point, is it clear? The accumulations of the karmas from the karmashaya over the different births. So the karmashaya has all these kleshas as its root. And how do you think these kleshas grow and the karmashaya grows? It grows because of the three or four aspects. I think you might have heard of these: kama, krodha, lobha, and moha. These are nothing but the I can say the life form of the kleshas. When kleshas are working, when kleshas are put into action, you see kama, krodha, lobha, and moha coming into picture. So the kleshas are the root, and the kleshas will give rise to the karmashaya. Karmashaya would keep growing because of kama, krodha, lobha, and moha. Okay, as I told, karmashaya is the storehouse of all our good and bad deeds. So because of what we have done in the past, we will experience certain things in this birth. If we have done something good, it might lead to a good experience, to a good life. if we have done something bad in the past, it leads to a negative consequence and a bad experience. Okay, so see how klesha is binding us. It is kind of capturing us. Okay, it has a very deep influence on the birth, the lifespan, and the experience that a person has. Such a beautiful way of understanding the mind and how it works, right? I was like awestruck when I first read and understood this.
Ma'am?
Yeah, yeah.
Ma'am, in this, what is the main root cause for rebirth? Means what we need to say, klesha or karma?
Both are becoming a cycle. I mean, if we take the chicken and the egg or the seed and the plant story, we don't know whether the chicken came first or the egg came first, right?
Yes.
One is leading into another one. Like the klesha is leading into karma and the karmashaya. Then again, the karmashaya is leading into something else and it is going back to the klesha. So this is never-ending cycle. It is always putting the things in such a way where we are not able to exit out of that loop unless we put ourselves in yoga and follow the right path of yoga. Will not be able to break this cycle.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when we look at it like a sutra, so the sutra is saying that first the kleshas are given the primary importance, because you see the way it is approaching the experience that we have in the present birth. Because of kleshas, we have accumulated karmashaya. Okay, we have accumulated certain things in our karmashaya, and that which we experience now and that which we will see in the future births. So where is it starting? It's starting, if you put it in a very straightforward manner, it is through kleshas. But if we think in a deeper way, there is no end to it. One is leading into another one, right? So because of the experience that we have had, we will get another klishtavritti in our mind, which creates another klesha. Okay, and that klesha will again lead to another karma. That karma will go into the karmashaya and it becomes manifest when it is very strong. You understanding the cycle? It's like a cycle.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So if this is clear, then I would like to go into the 13th sutra. Okay. Give me a second. Yeah, I'm not. So the next sutra is Sati Mule Tadvipako Jatyayur Bhogaha. So what is it saying is, what is the result of this karmashaya that we have accumulated? Now we should have something out of it, right? It is telling us what happens as a consequence of this karmashaya. Sati is, so you know that we have kleshas and karmashaya being present, right? So sati is there being present the kleshas and karmashaya from the previous sutra. Okay, mula is root. So what is the root? There being the presence of kleshas and the karmashaya, the presence of both these things as a root. Okay, tad vipako, of those things comes a fruition or maturation. So because of the kleshas and karmashayas, there is a vipaka. Vipaka is like the maturation or ripening. So you see, they keep growing, and there comes a stage when they've become fully mature. That state is called as vipaka. Okay, so vipaka happens in three folds. That those three folds are, we see that consequence of the kleshas and karmas in three folds. What are those three folds? Jati, ayu, bhoga. Jati is nothing but the species, the kind of species that the body takes. Ayu is the lifespan, the number of years that we might survive. It could be any birth. It could be a worm, it could be an insect, it could be an animal, a bird, a human, or any other species. Ayu is the lifespan, how long that species would live. Bhoga means the kind of experiences, be it pleasant or painful experiences, what kind of experiences that person will have in that lifetime. These three things are the threefold results of the vipaka, the ripening of that karmashaya and kleshas. When the kleshas and karmashaya ripen, what accrues is the jati, ayu, and bhoga. The species in which one takes birth, the ayu, the lifespan associated with that birth, and the bhoga, the kind of experiences that one has. It could be a painful experience or a pleasant experience, both. Okay, so when this root is present, root meaning the kleshas and the karmashaya, definitely that will lead to its maturation or ripening. Okay, that is a very natural process. Once there is karmashaya, definitely it has to naturally manifest as jati, ayu, and bhoga. Okay, it will take form. It will get into a form of species. It will have a lifespan associated with it, and also resultant experiences during that lifetime. Okay, that is the result of the karmashaya and kleshas. That is what Sutra 13 is saying. So always remember, the yogi's goal should be to reduce what goes into the karmashaya, right? That is the logical aim of a yogi. Whatever goes into the karmashaya should be reduced and completely stopped. So when there are kleshas hanging around, is that possible? With the kleshas being present, is it possible to empty the karmashaya?
No, ma'am.
It's not possible. It's impossible to do that. So when kleshas are, the roots are present, when kleshas are present, then karmashaya will definitely form, and karmashaya has to ripen. Karmashaya has to take its form. Okay, that's why in the previous sutras they've said that try to eradicate the kleshas. Once the kleshas are eradicated, you will be able to work upon your karmashaya. The one whose kleshas are eradicated, you remember in one of the class I spoke about the jivana mukta, the one who's liberated but is living. So
Yes,
ma'am.
This kind of a person is called as a jivan mukta. Like why do we say he's liberated? Is he has attained the highest form of discerning wisdom, and he is living only because he has some karmas left in his karmashaya. He's cleaning up his karmashaya. So he doesn't accrue positive or negative consequences of that. Okay, because his kleshas are completely burnt. He has worked on cleaning up his kleshas. Once the kleshas are completely burnt, the karmashaya that remains, that might be because of the lifespan that he has. So he's living his life. But during that life that he is living as a jivan mukta, he will not accrue additional karmas which will go and settle down in the karmashaya. Getting it? So those people are called jivana muktas. Clear?
Ma'am, it is ascended masters. Jivan muktas.
Yeah, kind of. Jivan muktas are the ones who are liberated. Liberated in the sense their discerning wisdom is at the highest level. They have almost attained viveka khyati, or in the state of dharmamega samadhi, but not in asampragnata samadhi. Okay, so asampragnata samadhi, when they enter into asampragnata samadhi, as much as I am aware, most of the times people rarely come back. Getting it? People rarely come back. So those states, again, what happens to a person who has entered asampragnata samadhi, generally we can discuss about it, but the experience that one has had in real time is worth considering. Like, we don't know what it actually feels like, we don't know what it is. That cannot be described. That experience cannot be described in words. Okay.
Ma'am, Asampragnata Samadhi is the final one.
Yeah, that's the final one. Once
So,
they enter into asampragnata
after
samadhi,
reaching the world, then what is the need of coming back and all?
yeah, they don't have a need of coming back. That's why I'm saying Jivana Muktas, who are the liberated souls, are still embodied. They might not have entered into asampragnata samadhi because they don't feel the need of coming back.
So these Jivan Muktas can consider be as a Prakriti Layana Muktas.
Not Prakriti Laya. They might be in the Dharma Mega Samadhi state, not Prakriti Laya or Videha.
So after crossing Sampragnata Samadhi, they are in the Dharma Mega Samadhi.
Dharma Mega Samadhi, yes. These Jivan Muktas are mostly in that state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, in the Dharma Mega Samadhi state, they are alive to clear whatever or to address some karma left, right? That's what you said, no, ma'am? So
Yeah.
there is no chance of regression because there are no kleshas. Do they fall down here, ma'am?
On their kleshas and they've left them completely burnt. There is no chance of another klesha coming in and creating a karmashya for them. Why they are still alive is because they have jati, ayu, and bhoga. I told you, right? As a vipaka, we get these three things: jati, ayu, and bhoga. What is the result of vipaka is jati, ayu, bhoga. As their ayu, they might have some more days left. Okay, a few more days or months or years, I don't know, whatever is left. They have to live that lifespan. And they are not bothered whether they are, you see, their state of mind is such that it is of a dead person. They are not, you don't see them in enjoying anything which is of a worldly affair. They are in a very different state of mind, Jivan Muktas. Okay, they don't have anything that gives them pleasure, which is related to the worldly aspects, neither anything that relates to pain. They don't have any of that. They are just like living dead. Okay, so those people have that discerning wisdom. And they are living because they want to exhaust their lifespan. The karmashya, when it is closed, then that is when they leave their body. Is it clear? Should I go to the next sutra, 2.14?
Ma'am, it is 5 to 10. Do you wish to continue?
Oh, 1 second. Let me just see. Yeah, I'll just finish off with this sutra. It won't take longer because you understood the concept, right? It is just an extension to what you have learned. Okay, so 2.14 states that te hlada paritapa phalaha punya apunya hetutvat. So they, what are they? They here is referring to the jati ayu bhoga, which is the result of the karmashaya. Okay, te hlada paritapa. So the result of jati, ayu, and bhoga is a pleasurable experience, which is ahlada, hlada. Paritapa is that which gives us an experience of agony, anguish, or sorrow. Paritapa. Tapa, you know, is heat or burning, right? Paritapa is that which relates to anguish, agony, sorrow. Okay, this kind of experience. Hlada is the pleasurable experience, the experience which gives us delight. Okay, they, again I'm repeating, they is te. Te What is they referring to? They is referring to the outcome of the vipaka. What was the outcome of vipaka? The threefold outcome of vipaka: jati, ayu, bhoga. Okay, so ahlada. So this jati, ayu, bhoga can the bhoga aspect can give us experiences which are pleasurable, which give us delight. Paritapa, the experiences which give us agony, sorrow, anguish. Okay, phala. Phala means what? Fruit, as a consequence. So jati, ayu, bhoga, as their consequence, we can either get a pleasurable experience or a painful experience. Why? Because of our punya and apunya, hetatvat. So on account of our meritorious deeds and sinful deeds, we get the jati, ayu, and bhoga, out of which some experiences are pleasurable and other experiences are painful. Okay, so we got this. The vipaka leads to jati, ayu, and bhoga. So these jati, ayu, and bhoga have pleasure and agony as their fruits. Why? Because of the meritorious and the sinful acts that one has done. They are the causes of those pleasurable and painful experiences. Okay, and what happens is finally these punya and apunya will lead to the prarabdha karma that we have. Okay, the prarabdha karma is nothing but the karma that is gathered from our past lives. If you look at the sequence, kleshas will produce karma, karma will generate vipaka, and vipaka results in either pleasurable experiences or painful experiences. Is that clear? Nothing more to it. That is it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will now close this session. Should we do a very quick round of revision before we end the session? Who would like to answer the 10th sutra? Just very briefly explain what the 10th sutra meant. Quick. I mean, we shouldn't go beyond 10. We are already, we passed 10 now. We're just at 10. Go on. In 5 minutes, we should do the session.
I'll try, ma'am. So, te prati prasava heyaha sukshmaha. So, Patanjali is saying that the kleshas can be reduced, and they are reducible by involution when they are subtle. And eradication of kleshas is possible, is what he's saying, ma'am.
Yeah. Anybody wants to add to this?
Like the process of going back is described here as pratiprasava, which is de-evolution or involution. Like we all have that kleshas. Kleshas are not. It will not disappear as long as the mind of yogi is still active. They remain embedded there, but in their burnt state. So we have to totally remove it. Only when the mind of liberated yogi dissolves back into its original prakritic source, that process is called as pratiprasava. So for example, like a green gram, when it gets a suitable environment, it will again come back, sprout, and become the plant. So the same way, when kleshas are not completely burnt, it will again come back into action.
Good. I hope all of you all understood the 10th sutra. Now, who would like to explain about the 11th sutra very briefly?
Yes, ma'am. May I try?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. 11th sutra, that is the method of eradicate of the klesha. Through the meditation all the vrittis we can, if one practice the meditation, then it helps to handle the klesha through discriminated wisdom. Means if one will practice the meditation, then he will get the discriminated wisdom. That discriminated wisdom weaken the vrittis. So here
Yes. 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 I hope this was also clear to all of you. Who would like to explain the next one? Please come forward.
Ma'am, I'll try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here he's saying that kleshas are putting every action in a storehouse, um, which we are experiencing or might experience in future. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is it.
Can you elaborate a little more on that? Can you elaborate a little more on that?
Okay. So which we are experiencing means which we have seen in
Take
this
word
birth.
by word of the sutra. Take word by word and try explaining from there.
Okay, so Klesh is affliction, which we have studied. These are 5.
Hmm.
And Mula is the root of that kleshas. And
Very good.
Karmashayu is the storehouse. So where our karmas get stored. And Drishta is which we have seen in this birth. Any kind of experience. Like our sanskaras, when we do something and that phala is coming in front of us, right ma'am?
Yes, that which we experience in the present.
Yeah. And Adrishta is
that which we don't see, that which is unseen.
Okay. Which we have not seen, but we can see it in future, right?
Yes, yes. Janma Vedaniya is the birth or incarnation which is yet to come, and we are yet to experience that. Okay. So the sutra was about the storehouse of the kleshas, right? So klesha, the root klesha, because of the kleshas, the karmashaya forms, the storehouse forms. Because of the karmashaya, we get to experience certain things which we are able to see at present, and some things get accrued for the future. Okay, that which we might experience in the future. Okay, so
future as in future
means
future
birth,
okay.
or in the same birth at a different point in time which is yet to be experienced. Getting it? It could be both, like in the time that we would see in the same birth, or in the coming birth. It depends on the propensity of that particular consequence. If it is too high, then it comes off. Okay, so that is what it is. Then thank you. 2.13. Who wants to explain? Sarika, do you want to try? Sarika, Shravani, whoever.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
In 13th sloka, Patanjali explaining that Sati Mula, so long as that root cause of that karmashaya is there, there will be that it will be ripens and gives birth to threefold results, which leads to like a jati, ayu, bhoga. Jati means birth, and lifespan and experience. So that karmashayas decides that at which clan or anything or any birth which have where they have to birth like this, and lifespan and experiences, that means enjoyments or sadnesses, which leads to these karma because of these karmas.
Yes, very good, very good. 14th sutra, please volunteer. shouldn't take so long. And if you've understood, just start off now. There's no testing going on. Okay?
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, try.
Okay. So the result of this Jati, Ayu, and Bhoga is pleasurable experience or maybe painful experience depend upon our karmashaya. Right, ma'am?
Yeah. It depends on the punya, meritorious, and the apunya, the sinful deeds that we did.
Yeah.
So the experiences that we have because of jati, ayu, and bhoga might be pleasurable or painful, and this pleasure or pain depends on the punya and apunya hetu. So their causes are because of the meritorious deeds or the sinful deeds that one has done. Okay, if one has done sinful deeds, they will definitely experience pain or agony. If one has done some good deeds, meritorious deeds, then they will definitely experience something nice, pleasurable. Okay, so this is just as an aside, be it pleasurable or painful, it is all part of the karma share only. Okay, if it is pleasurable, we shouldn't fall into the trap. Okay, we should never fall into the trap. Okay, so we'll end it here. I'll stop the recording now.